Hey, Rebecca here. Welcome to the VA Vortex. If this is your first time with us, hello. My name is Rebecca Morassutti. I'm a virtual assistant mentor and VA business strategist, and I am here to help you start your business. We all want to start our business for different reasons, but really what it comes down to is the freedom to be able to create a life that's fully designed by us, every single aspect of it, to have that freedom of choice with what we do with our time, what we do with our money, how we spend time with our family, if we take Pilates at 2 p.m. We have the choice to really create a life that is totally intentionally designed by us through our virtual assistant business. Now, I know that 2024 is probably going to be a big year for you, right? I know that, I don't know about you, but for me, the vibes of 2024 are like next level. Like, I am ready to get started. I am ready to make some huge changes. I am ready to commit to myself. And a lot of people that I've been talking to feel the exact same way. They feel literally the exact same way. Sorry guys, I'm trying to log in to get my notes here. Obviously this is happening while I'm trying to make this video. Classic Google signing me out. Okay, here we go. So a lot of people lately have been telling me this is it. I felt like for years that this is something I should do. And in 2024, this is the year that I am making it happen, which is so exciting. I'm so excited for you, and I love that drive and I love that determination, and we are going to help you get there, okay? So, January usually is a time where we sort of reflect on what we want. We think about all the goals we're going to achieve by the end of the year. And then as we start to get into February, it's time to start taking action on them, right? We can only dream so much until we actually need to start doing things, executing on the plan, right? So what we're going to talk about today is exactly step by step in all the details, everything you need to know to start your virtual assistant business by spring. And if you're really determined, which I feel like you probably are, you could probably start even faster than that, okay? So here's exactly what you're going to do step by step. And now, something else I want to just say before I get into this is there are a lot of people out there who tell you how to do things. But do they really tell you how to do things? Do they really? Because I know when I was first starting my VA business, I was watching webinars and I was going to all these trainings and I was watching YouTube videos, and no one really actually told me this is what you need to do, right? There were all these conversations about niching and determining your packages and all these things, but okay, that's all good and fine, but how do I actually quit my 9-to-5 job? What do I need to do to actually get there, right? Is a niche going to allow me to quit my 9-to-5 job? Spoiler alert, it's not, okay? So how are you actually going to start your business so that you can start writing your 2 weeks notice, hopefully by April or May? So exciting. Here we go. So the very first thing that you need to understand is that becoming a virtual assistant is you now becoming an entrepreneur, okay? This is not going to be another 9-to-5 job. And because of that, you don't want to present yourself as somebody who's looking for a 9-to-5 job or who is a 9-to-5 employee, okay? When you become a business owner working with other business owners online, which is what a virtual assistant does, you need to make sure that you are at their level, right? You, as a business owner, are coming to your clients as a virtual assistant as an equal, okay? As a collaborator in their business, okay? So that can be a really big mindset shift, right, within us, because our entire life we are taught how to be employees. Our entire life we're told that, okay, we just need to impress the person above us and we'll get everything we want. By this point, you probably know that that's not true. Which is why we're going to be our own boss now, right? We're going to focus solely on impressing us, doing the work for us, building our life that's fully in our control, which is just so good and amazing, and I can't wait for you to have this freedom, okay? So, like I said, the mindset shift that needs to take place here is going from thinking like an employee to thinking like a business owner, okay? Now, a lot of the times, what we do when we try to start thinking about being a business owner is we do this thing that I like to call business illusion, okay? And what this means is we're not actually operating like a business owner, but we're doing all the external things that make us look like one, okay? So we're maybe creating a website, or we're thinking we need to create a logo, or buying expensive platforms to invoice, or whatever it is. We think that by doing that kind of thing, that's going to build our confidence as business owners, but it actually doesn't. And in fact, it actually hits our confidence, because when we do all the things that we're supposed to do, or we think we're supposed to do to look like a business, and then we don't end up starting a business because we have no clients, because we haven't actually done anything to get any clients, we get discouraged and we're like, okay, maybe this isn't for me, right? So instead of you going into this idea of, all right, I think I know what a business, like a legit business, looks like, and I know what like a business owner looks like in theory. There's someone who has everything together, and they have this like nice email signature, and they have these systems and these processes and all these things. All I want you to think about is that you are now fully in control and in charge of your life and your future. Okay? You need to make sure that you are doing everything you possibly can to bring that future to life. And in doing this, you're going to start a business, and you're going to collaborate. You're going to come in at the same level with the clients that you're reaching out to, right? With that same mindset. Now, for me, what I like to do is actually a bit of like a mindset exercise, where I like to almost visualize myself as the business owner version of me, right? And a lot of the time when I'm visualizing that business owner version of me, I'm not thinking about my website or my logo. I'm thinking about how I present myself, my confidence, how I'm speaking to people, how I'm coming off, how I'm presenting myself to other business owners. That is the true meaning of becoming a business owner, okay? Just because you have a website, just because you have a fancy Instagram account, does not make you a business owner. There's only one thing and one thing only that makes you a business owner, and that is clients, okay? So you're gonna now start to try to get into this mindset so that when you land your first client, you can approach them with the intention of collaboration, from the place of, okay, I've seen the confidence I need, I've seen myself in this place where I can actually collaborate with a business owner. And again, it's going to take some confidence, it's going to take some visualization to get there, okay? But that's what you need to come in at. You need to have that level of confidence, okay? And you may need to push yourself a little bit to get there. It may not feel 100% comfortable, okay? You've never been a business owner before. But you need to understand how you're going to feel when you're a business owner, because if you don't have that intention of, okay, this is what I'm going to look like, this is how I'm going to act, this is how I'm going to function as a business owner, you're never going to be able to get there, right? It's like trying to figure out the end destination without a map. Okay? You can't become the person you want to be if you actually haven't taken time to sit and think about what that person actually looks like, how that person actually acts. Okay? So the very first thing that you need to do is to get into the mindset of a business owner. It's very, very, very important. Okay? And from a timeline perspective, this should take you, I'm going to say 2 days, okay? I would do some introspective work. I would really start to think about, okay, do I know any business owners in my life? No, maybe I don't. Okay, who do I know that runs a business? Maybe they're on Instagram. Maybe I'm watching their stories. I'm looking at how they're acting, how they're presenting themselves, how they're speaking. I'm going in and doing all that. Maybe I have a vision of what I want this business to look like. I have like a version of my CEO self, my business owner self. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to get very, very, very detailed on what who that person is, how they act, what they look like. Okay. That is key, okay? Now, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to get very clear on your money situation, okay? Money is probably the number one reason why people don't start their business, right? We have this fear that like, oh my gosh, money, we have a scarcity mindset that like we're not going to find any clients, and it's going to be so hard for us, we're going to struggle. We have this idea of struggling entrepreneurs. Side note, that's really not truly 100% the reality of entrepreneurship. You can be successful, you can make a sustainable income, you can, have the freedom to not worry about where your next client is coming from. That is possible for you, right? But the very first thing that we need to do is get very clear, very honest with ourselves about our money situation, okay? So what I like to do is I like to figure out my survival amount and my replacement amount. Okay, what number do I need to hit to replace my current income? Usually what you use in that case is like your paycheck, right? Like how much do you get paid right now? Okay, great. That's the number that we need to replace with VA clients. Or if you wanted to do what I did, which was I actually was okay making a little bit less money just to get started, because I was so determined to get started. I was like, I don't even care. I just need to make the bare minimum amount. I figured figure out what that survival number is. Okay, so I create a full budget, a detailed budget that takes time. Okay, this may take you a day to do because you're going to get so detailed into this. Go over everything, see if you can cut anything out. Maybe you don't need a subscription to Disney and Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, and Paramount. Maybe you don't need all those things, right? You can cut them out. We can cut back, and that'll just give you. And just to clarify here, that doesn't mean you can't have them eventually. But what that's going to do is going to take some pressure off of you to have to hit maybe a very high amount of money, depending on the income you're bringing in now. Okay. Now, once you get clear on your money, you need to decide the type of human being you want to work with, okay? A lot of people in this space talk about niching. Niching does not matter. You're not going to make more money if you niche down. There's nothing special about niching. There literally isn't, okay? I've never niched, and I've run a very successful virtual assistant business for 10 years now, okay? The reason that I chose not to niche is because I like doing many different things, working with many different people, right? I have different interests, and the best thing about creating a business is that you can take all the things you're interested in and create a business out of it, right? So that's what I did. So I did not niche down in terms of the kinds of businesses I'm working with or the industry or anything like that, because I didn't want to, I didn't need to, right? But what I was very clear on is the kind of person that I want to work with, okay? Because you, as a virtual assistant, you're going to be the right-hand person of your client, right? You're going to be like their wing woman. So you need to make sure that you like that person, right? You need to make sure you guys have things in common. You need to make sure that your personalities match, right? So I want you to take some time to think about the kind of human that you want to work with. You can even think about maybe somebody from a past job that you've really enjoyed working with and what their traits are, how they approach different situations. I get very, very clear on the type of human being. Okay, I know a lot of the time when we go from employee to business owner, we start to do this weird, again, fake business thing where we're okay, we need to niche and we care about money, we care about all this. I don't know about you, but what I cared about when I started my virtual assistant business is working with people that I loved and that respected me and that let me be creative and that I could laugh with, right? That was it. So that's what I went after, and that's who I found, and that's how I was able to create a life that I love every single aspect of, right? Because having great clients affects everything, okay? If you have bad clients, your entire life will be affected, all right? So after you decide who you want to work with as a human, okay, not the niche, not the business, not anything, the kind of person that you want to work with, then all you're going to do is you're going to create an email address just for your virtual assistant business, okay? Usually I like to use Gmail. It's free. You could do your first name dot last name at gmail.com. You could do va.firstname at gmail.com, va.Rebecca Morassutti at gmail.com. You can, if you can't get your first name and your last name, which, I could, but a lot of people can't, then put VA in some sort of form in there. Maybe it's rebecca.va at gmail.com, or it's, some sort of variation of that. Okay, great. So now you have that. Then you're going to set up your payment platform. That's going to allow you to be able to lock in a client ASAP. Okay, sometimes you need to do the bank connections, and sometimes it can take a few business days to actually get everything connected. But pro tip, if you have PayPal already, which a lot of people do, you can actually send invoices from PayPal. You don't need to set anything up. Everything should already be set up for you in PayPal. And if not, then you can use Wave. Wave is one of my favorite invoicing platforms, okay? So everything that I've just talked about shouldn't take you any longer than a few days, okay? Shouldn't take you any longer than a few days. And then the final thing that you need to do to start your business is to land your first client, okay? That is the key fundamental piece to making this all work, right? Is you actually having a client. Once you land your first client, everything's gonna come together, okay? So how do you land your first client? Where do you find clients? You can find clients pretty much everywhere, right? And when you're finding clients, I really want you to approach this as not you trying to sell yourself or you trying to market your services or buy packages from you or anything like that, because nobody wants that. Nobody wants that, okay? People come into my DMs and they're like, how do I sell myself to business owners? You don't, okay? Nobody wants to be sold to. But what you do is you offer assistance, right? You are a virtual assistant. Your job is to help people, and people need help. And when you can approach finding clients from a place of, hey, I have some time, do you need some help with that? That's a lot better than I can manage your email inbox, and I can organize a bunch of files, and I can format PDFs. Do you want to work with me? No, like, no, I'm good, thanks. I'd rather have somebody that just wants to help me and really cares about working with me, right, as a human, remember? So how are you going to go about finding your first client? The very first thing that I always love to do, I tell everybody to do, is go to your current network, okay? Exhaust your current network. You need to just completely forget about all of your reservations about people like judging you or anything like that, okay? It's going to be hard to do, but you need to start going to your current network. You likely will find your first client, even if it's a small client, within your network, okay? Most people do. Most people know somebody who needs help with some sort of admin thing, okay? And you're going to help them because, again, like I said, you have to get your first client. Even if that client is a low-paying client and it's a one-time project, you just even doing that and having that experience alone is going to build your confidence to allow you to lock in $3,000 a month clients, $5,000 a month clients later on down the road. But you need to start somewhere, okay? So exhaust your current audience. Tell people, message people, write people emails that you haven't talked to in years, telling them that you've started a VA business, offering up any help or support, okay? Now, when you've exhausted that audience, the next place that I like to go is to places like Upwork or LinkedIn. Okay, I call these verified platforms. There you will find other business owners that are likely looking for support as well. Okay, now this is going to be a process. I think a lot of people don't really understand that the process of finding your first client is not something you can just do for an hour on a Tuesday and then never do again and then say, oh, I didn't find a client. No, this is something you need to be so determined to find your first client that you are spending as much time as you possibly can to get one in as many places as you can possibly think of. Okay? You need to be so determined that you are going and creating profiles on platforms you've never even been on before. Okay? That determination is going to land you your first client. Okay? It may take you a week, it may take you 2 days, it may take you 4 weeks. But what you need to remember is that consistent effort will always win. Okay, so if today you're like, okay, Rebecca, I'm going to do all this stuff, and then on Friday I'm going to reach out to a bunch of people, and then if you get back to me on Monday and you're like, Rebecca, I didn't find any clients, I don't think I could do this, I'll be like, girl, you spent 2 hours on a Friday and you're giving up already? It will take you days, it could potentially take you weeks of determined, focused intention, okay, to find your first client. Now, like I said, you can find clients literally anywhere. You can find clients in Facebook groups, right? But a lot of the times, what I see new VAs doing is they're really approaching this, right, from an employee mindset. They don't really understand how the VA industry works, and they don't understand where their clients are, okay? They're going places where they would go to find a job, or they're going places that are familiar to them. For example, a lot of people go into VA Facebook groups, okay? Virtual assistants go into virtual assistant Facebook groups, and they try to find clients in there. And a lot of the time, they might not find a client, and if they do find a client, it's going to be a very low-paying job, very transactional. Again, maybe okay for your first client, but ultimately, long-term, those are not the kinds of clients that we want, right? What you need to understand is that your great client is not going to be in a VA Facebook group. Why would they be in a VA Facebook group? They're not a VA. They don't go on Facebook. Where will your clients be? You need to be there, okay? You need to be there. So the people that have had the most success using places like Facebook to find VA clients are people who think, okay, I know that my client isn't going to be in a VA Facebook group, but where would they be? Maybe they're in like a small businesses in Atlanta Facebook group, right? Maybe they're on LinkedIn in a community that's like New York online business owners. And now they're actually connecting with their ideal clients instead of just being in a sea of VAs who are really not taking it seriously, don't want to make, a real business out of this, and are just looking for some side hustle money. Okay? So the last thing you need to do to make your VA business real by spring is you need to go out there and you need to find your client. You need to be incredibly determined and persistent and make sure you're making time every single day, to take some sort of action to find a client. Okay, just thinking about it is not going to do anything. Just creating a website or creating an Instagram, not going to do anything. You need to take an active approach to building your business and finding your first client. A client is not just going to fall into your lap. Okay, you need to take your future into your own hands and make it happen, and do anything you possibly can to do that, okay? And if that scares you, maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you, okay? Isn't for you. I'm not saying that to deter you. I'm saying that to be 110% honest with you, okay? I see a lot of people succeed, and I see a lot of people fail. And the differences between the people who succeed and those who fail, the people who succeed are determined and take consistent action. Even when they might not be seeing the results that they want, they continue, they persist, they're determined, they're gonna figure it out, and then they do. And then they're successful, okay? And that fundamentally is what entrepreneurship is all about, okay? If you're here, you likely have that drive and determination. But if you're like, Rebecca, I don't know if I can spend more than an hour a week trying to build my business, then to be honest, it takes a lot longer than an hour a week to build a successful 6-figure business, okay? So, high-level overview, how are we going to start our business by spring? We're going to become a business owner. We're going to change from our employee mindset to our business owner mindset. We're going to get clarity on our finances, okay? We're going to understand the type of human being you want to work with. We're going to whip up an email address literally in 3 minutes, a free one from Gmail, okay, that you're going to use just for your virtual assistant business alone. You're going to either use PayPal or set up your payment platform. My personal choice is Wave. And then you are going to go 100% all in to land your first client. You're going to spend as much time. You're going to maybe not watch Netflix. Maybe you're not going to scroll on Instagram for 30 minutes. You're going to replace that with finding your first client. Those are some options, okay? If you have any questions at all, as always, please respond back to me, okay? Respond back to this email. I read everyone's emails. I respond back to people's emails. There are people right now getting free coaching and free advice from me just because they've just responded to my email alone. You are welcome to do that as well. I hope I'll see you there. Bye, everybody.